Alright, before I begin with the second game on the list, I think that I should lay down some ground rules for how this entire series is going to go. The basic idea is that I must play each of these 1001 video games to completion. Usually this simply means beating the final boss, but it could vary depending on the type of game that I'm playing. In Banjo-Kazooie, for instance, I'd say that completion is finding every single note and jiggy in the game, as well as beating Gruntilda. At the end of each game, after I'm done playing, I have to give it one of three rankings. Either the book got it right, and I believe that it's a game that you must play, either because it's really fun, it's historically significant, or it's unlike any other game that's ever existed. Another rating is, I believe that it doesn't belong in the book. Maybe it's just a bad game. Maybe it's a filler entry. Maybe what's been special about it has been lost to the sands of time. And the third and final rating is that they've gotten the right series, but a different game in said series would probably be the better entry. Because of the final rule, when it comes to series like, say, Gunstar Heroes and Gunstar Superheroes, I'm going to try to play as many as possible back to back. And this doesn't exactly include games that are limited to the book. For example, when I play Bomberman, I want to find out which is the best version of Bomberman. I'm going to have to do research into the games that people say are the best, along with beating the ones that are in the book, Saturn Bomberman and Bomberman for the TurboGrafx. However, I'm definitely not going to waste my time with games that I know won't make the cut, like Bomberman Act Zero. Also, keep in mind that I do not have to play those other games to completion. I only need to be able to judge them compared to the one that made it into the book. Every game in the book, though, if it's possible to complete, I have to complete it. Of course, this rule doesn't apply to every single series. There are some series that I personally know would have many entries on a definitive list of must-plays. Like today's example, Mario. There isn't just one game in the Mario series that you must play. In this case, I'll just play each game as if it's a standalone. I know all this may sound convoluted and confusing, but it's going to become more understandable and easy to understand as we go on. Also, I do not have to do a long play in this series. I can do a long play if I want to, play through the entire game while offering commentary, or I can truncate that. I can boil it down to just my highlights. Or I could just give a sort of pseudo-review, detailing my experiences with the overall game, and basically giving you a recap. It all depends on what I'm in the mood for. As for what I'm allowed to do within the games, some of the rules should be obvious. I can't use cheat codes or exploit glitches. If a glitch comes at me by accident, that's fine. I'm not going to, reset or anything. I only say that because I don't want to reset if something weird happens that I have no control over. Sometimes games could be unpredictable. However, just because I can't use cheat codes doesn't mean that I can't use any shady tactics. First of all, I can farm. I can farm for points, lives, or anything else that I want to. Farming, if you don't know, is basically doing a repetitive task to get extra lives, or extra points, or extra power-ups. And this one is important. I can exploit the mechanics in a game. If I can find a loophole in the rules, I can do what I want with them. And there's a very important reason for that. I'm judging these games on their game design. And exploits like that are usually a flaw in the game's design. A flaw in the way that the game is made. The only thing else that might be a little bit iffy is guides. Can I use guides or walkthroughs in this series? I wanted to say yes universally, but sometimes these games are just way too easy if you go in with a guide and knowledge of what you're going to do. Sometimes the point of the game is figuring things out. So if it is one of those games, like an adventure game or a puzzle game, the only guide that I can use is the game's manual. However, if the game isn't about figuring things out, I can use whatever additional guides that I want to. For example, today's game is Super Mario Bros. Since the game isn't about figuring things out, it's about platforming, I can use a guide to do things like getting through the maze castles, which I am going to do with Castle 7 because I have a hard time remembering it. Are there any other questions? Yes? Well, I'm sure they're going to be answered as we go on. We have to get started. There's 1,000 games to go. Alright, and we continue our quest with Super Mario Bros. On the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was a launch title and shipped with every single console, but you know that because everybody knows this game. And I'm basically just getting it out of the way. Because it's an obvious yes. Like, any book worth its salt has got to have Super Mario Bros., the original, in it. It is definitely a game that all gamers should play in some form or another. In fact, I think it's a game that all gamers have played in some form or another. And we will be talking about it as we go on. But as for now, congratulations, book. You're 2 for 2. Well, let's hope you can keep this up. But here's a hint. I don't think the book can keep this up. I am generally curious to see what percentage of the book I find is good. But let's not talk about the book right now. Let's talk about Super Mario Brothers. Although I have no idea what to talk about since, well, let's be honest. It's been talked about to death. Like, what's more to say about it? I mean, you all know the secrets, you know the music, you know that the timer isn't following actual seconds. There's, like, no untreaded ground here. God damn it. If you're wondering, I have beat this game multiple times. I'm just tired. It's early for me. There's a secret here, which would be a lot easier to get if I didn't lose my fucking mushroom. Now, I have beat this game many times, but I still need as many lives as I can get. I'm not a Mario master or anything. And no, we're not going to be taking shortcuts. I want to beat the game pretty much raw. Also, no codes means I can't use the continue code. So if I get a game over, then I go all the way back. But you know, that's pretty damn stupid. That you need basically a cheat code to continue from where you left off. But I mean, I guess it was the era where games' longevity was expanded through cheap tactics, like limited lives. One thing you might not know is that if you want more secret mushrooms, you have to get all of the coins in every -3 level. Like, if you want the secret mushroom in World 2-1, you need to get all of the coins in level 1-3. It's actually very annoying. Also, if you want to continue where you left off after you die, you hold A and press start. That is all you have to do. And honestly, I didn't know that until yesterday, and it was infuriating to how fucking simple it was. I am tired. That's all I can say. And here we get Toad, giving us the middle finger. Alright, World 2. Let's go. Hallelujah, I got my mushroom. Now, what are my thoughts about this game overall? Well, I think it's a masterpiece, although I wouldn't call it my favorite Mario video game ever. I mean, I do believe it is one of the greatest video games ever made. Like, that's pretty much indisputable, but greatest doesn't exactly mean the best. And this is not a Mario game I come back to very often. If I'm going to go back to a Mario game on the NES, it's going to be Super Mario Bros. 3. Because, you know, I've been spoiled by other better Mario games. Meaning this one kind of has aged a little bit. Mario really feels heavy in this game. You feel his weight with every single jump. And his momentum is a little bit, locked. If that makes any sense. Oh yeah, and one flaw that is definitely there is the springs. I fucking hate these springs. I don't know anybody who uses the springs willingly. World 2-2. Underwater. And there are the bloopers. They can't hurt you if you stay on the ground, but you can't stay on the ground for long because of these coral. The bloopers are weird. They kinda sorta home in on you sometimes. I don't exactly know what their deal is. The music in this game is just fantastic. It's still stuck in your head to this day. I don't know how you make music that catchy. Going. And we're through. I really just don't know what to say. Like, I'm really tired too. Yeah. Oh yes, this level. If you run as fast as possible, the fish won't hit you, but I want to get as many lives as possible, so I kinda have to dodge. So yeah, you don't want to die on Dash 3 levels, because you don't just lose one life, you technically lose two. Unless it starts you back at the beginning, then you still have the opportunity to catch every single coin along the way. I just really hate these flying Cheeps. They're not my least favorite enemies in the game. Those would probably be Hammer Brothers. Everybody hates the Hammer Brothers. Although Lakitu ain't far behind. Lakitu gave me all kinds of problems as a kid. Even though it only appears like twice in the entire game. One thing that probably hasn't aged well in this game is that a lot of the levels are technically repeats. Like, we'll be seeing this castle again, and that already hits brick below me. That's going to be a giant fire bar later. It's the exact same level, just with more obstacles. Which, I don't know, it was probably acceptable for the time, but I don't know, at some points it just feels like filler. Although this was a time where games were judged where more length is more content, I guess. Alright, fine, you wanna play that game? I swear that I'm better than this. I just woke up, and I'm probably not gonna do that for a Mario game going forward. Even though this is probably one of the harder ones. Like, of the first 4 Mario games, this is the hardest one to beat. And no, I'm not talking about the fucking lost levels. Alright, I'm just gonna say it right now. Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels is my least favorite Mario game. And yes, that includes that one. I find it worse than Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario, Hotel Mario, Mario is Missing. It's worse than all of that. I mean, not only is it poorly programmed, it's poorly designed with just a random bunch of assets. Designed to be as difficult as possible with no real rhyme or reason. The levels look downright incoherent at some points. And visually, it looks pretty much exactly like Mario 1, which is inexcusable when you see the American Mario 2 and Mario 3. But we'll be getting to that when we get into that, because Mario Bros. The Lost Levels is in the book. And And I am not looking forward to that one under any circumstance. Alright. I don't know, maybe I could talk about the book. Like, the book has a load of problems, and I guess I should be grateful that I'm playing one of the few NES games in the book, considering that there's only less than 10 NES exclusives. Let me think off the top of my head of the NES exclusives that are in the book. There's the original Mario Brothers, Mario Brothers 2, Mario Brothers 3. There's The Legend of Zelda. Then there's Dragon Warrior, the original, and Kid Icarus. Those are the only NES exclusives that made it in the book. I mean, there are things like Tetris and Dr. Mario, which are on multiple consoles. But as far as NES exclusives, that's all you get. So, no Little Samson, no Little Nemo, no Mega Man 2 or 3. In fact, in the new version, there is no Mega Man games at all. And here's what hurts the most, there's no Kirby games at all either. So, no Kirby's Adventure, even though that's the best NES game ever made. At least it's my favorite NES game ever made. The book is very, very biased towards newer games, to the point where half of the book takes place in the 2000s. And while the 2000s was a fine decade for video games, I honestly think it's probably the least innovative, with the exception of, I guess, the 70s. The 90s and the 2010s are both much, much more innovative than the 2000s. Even though the 2000s definitely did have its innovations in the realms of video games. But the most innovative thing that I can think of in the 2000s era is motion controls and achievements. That's their crowning achievements. I guess online play came into significance, even though it didn't start in the 2000s. That came in at the tail end of the 90s. And here is Lakitu. Why do I not like him, or why do I hate him sometimes more than Hammer Brothers? Because when you kill a Hammer Brother, they tend to have the decency to stay dead. If you kill Lakitu, he pops up later in the level, which is just stupid. Yeah, there he is, smug asshole. I am drinking iced tea. But yeah, older consoles definitely really get the shaft in the book. Actually, handheld consoles get it even worse. I mean, for example, they don't have Super Mario Land 2, the 6 Golden Coins, which is one of the best handheld video games ever made. It's just about the only Mario game that they didn't pick. But we will be getting to that later. I mean, I picked a Mario game because I pretty much knew which way it's going to be going. Like, this game is obviously... It's obviously a must-play. Like, I don't think anyone would deny it. Unless you've got a 1 per franchise rule or something like that. And even then, Mario 1 makes a good case for sticking around. The only one that would give any sort of competition in that leeway is Super Mario 64. Most of the Mario games, though, it's pretty safe to say... With most of the Mario games, it's pretty safe to say which ones go in. Like, Super Mario World is a yes, Super Mario Bros. 3 is a yes, Super Mario Galaxy is a yes. The only kind of difficulty you might have is with Super Mario Bros. 2, the American one, which many people don't seem to like, and I have no idea why. And Super Mario Sunshine, which definitely has a lot of good, but it also has a lot of not so good as well. I mean, if you want to cut back on the Mario titles that are in the book, you'd probably cut Sunshine first. But honestly, I think there's a bigger problem in the book when it comes to Zelda games. With the exception of Zelda 2, they've pretty much put in every single Zelda game up to Twilight Princess. Pretty glad they didn't put in Skyward Sword, because I hear it's not very good. I mean, in the original version of the book, Skyward Sword hadn't come out yet, and when they made the second edition, they didn't give a shit, so... That explains why Skyward Sword's not in the book. But for example, they put in both the DS Zelda games, which are not good. They're really not. And of course they put in all of the okay Zelda games too, like the Minish Cap, which I like. I just don't find much of a reason to ever really come back to. This is the first maze castle, and if there's something about Mario that I don't like, it's when the game decides to throw in these mazes. I always hate when it throws the Forest of Illusion at me, ghost castles, maze castles, or whatever, because I don't play Mario for puzzles. Actually, no, mazes aren't puzzles. Mazes, continually, in any video game I've ever played, they're just a waste of time. Unless it's a maze game like Pac-Man or something. All they do is slow down the pace and make you wander aimlessly, which is not what I play a Mario game for. I play a Mario game for platforming action, like this. This is where it's fun, this is what it's good at doing. And yes, when I get to the ghost castles and whatever, I will be using guides for them because I don't give a shit. I mean, in this game, I've got pretty much most of the castles memorized. There's Castle 4, Castle 7, and Castle 8. The only one that I have a little bit of issue with remembering is Castle 7. Castle 8 is actually very, very easy to remember because there are actually landmarks in the castle. Like, the pipe you need to go down is always immediately after lava. Hey, fuck you, Hammer Brother. Ah, water! I did not expect this. I do not want to be here. This is a bad place to be. This is a very, very bad place to be. And the swimming controls are fine, it's just the fucking enemies that are annoying to deal with in the underwater areas. Yeah, there's the star. Phew. Looks like another level is in the bag if we don't fall down stupidly. There we go. Yeah, Super Mario Brothers, the original, if you don't keep getting game overs, it's actually really short. I don't think I've had a playthrough where I don't think I had a playthrough that lasted more than an hour. My record for a no shortcut run is about at 36 minutes right now, which, you know, it's not one of the big boys, but I like it. You know, a game that once took me hours or even days to complete is now reduced to just a few minutes. I am impressed with how far my skills have come in some of these games. Like, when I was a kid, I couldn't beat this game. Because it was very difficult, and those Hammer Brothers are evil. Also, and this is a flaw, I don't know if it's just the emulator, but sometimes Mario disappears when he gets hit. If you're wondering, I am using an emulator. It's BizHawk, which is made to be as close to the original as possible. It's for speedrunners. I'm using BizHawk because it's an amalgamation of pretty much so many different emulators. It can play just about anything, any ROM. So there will be a manner of consistency here throughout all the games. And I am using a USB NES controller. I'm going to try to get as close to the original control scheme of the game every single time. Ah, no. God damn it. I should have ran under him. But yeah, see, we've already done this castle before. It just made it harder, that's all. Like, if you can get to Bowser with a mushroom, you basically win. Yeah, but our princess is in another castle. Toad giving us the middle finger, I guess. I mean, like, there's not many ways to draw a hand with 7 pixels. Okay, this is the worst secret 1-up mushroom. It's the hardest to get. I don't think I know where the 7 or 8 ones are, though. So that might be our last secret mushroom. Goodbye, Lakitu. Never come back, ever. Okay, let's go. So many piranha plants. The hit detection can be a little bit, I guess forgiving is a word you can use in this game. Damn it. One thing I never liked about the original Super Mario Brothers is you can't go back. Which is, I don't know, it's something I'm glad they got rid of in pretty much every subsequent Mario game. Something about it just always struck me as, I don't know, unnecessary. I get it's not the way I should be going, but if I want to go back, just let me go back. At least it's better than Kid Icarus, where the back end of the screen kills you. Like, I'm gonna be forward here. I'm not looking forward to the other NES games that have made it into the book. Dragon Warrior 1 and Kid Icarus. Kid Icarus is just way too difficult for my tastes. It's the only NES game in the book that I have yet to beat. And yes, I have beat the original Dragon Warrior. People say it's like really, really hard. It's not hard. It's just tedious. It is the most tedious fucking game that I have ever played. Because it was designed to be tedious. Like, I understand that it is one of the most important RPGs ever made, but you gotta have so much patience to get through it. Like, you have to be hardcore. And yes, I absolutely hate the springs. Like, you need to get your jump right the first time you hit them, because every other time you land on the spring, it's a crapshoot to how high you go. I know there's a pattern to it, but you don't think about that in the moment. God damn it. Tricky jumps. Yeah, this castle is pretty much a remake of the first castle. I think I'm starting to wake up now. I wouldn't call what I just did easy. World 7, we're getting there. Oh yeah, now it's time to go crazy with bullet bills. Bullet bills are a tricky one because I don't know the timing in which they launch. Like, I don't think it's a timer because you can wait forever and they'll never shoot. Like, I'm pretty sure it has something to do with their place on your place on the screen. That seems to be the most logical answer. I mean, if you're standing on top of them, they never launch, but the same thing happens with piranha plants. Like, see, that was not a timer. Oh, no. Yeah. Hammer Brothers, if you're, like, right next to them, like, they're easy to not get killed by. You know, unless they surround you. Hey, secret. Yay! Doesn't mean I like fighting these guys. This is bad. This is a bad situation. Bugsy Beetle! Made it. 7-2. Another underwater level. Yeah, World 7 is probably my least favorite world in the entire game, if you could tell them apart, because World 7 is pretty much a replica of World 2, just the same world made harder. Which, I don't know, it just strikes me as the wrong move. And I really do not like bloopers. I really don't. Their pattern is just, their movements are just too erratic. They home in on you. Like, Cheep Cheeps, as many as you get, they only go in one direction. That's tolerable. I can deal with that. But no, bloopers. I mean, their only decency is they can't hit you if you're on the ground, but you're not on the ground for long. And now we've got another bridge level. Alright. Also, I guess there's the question of which game I'm going to play next. I'll probably play a game to establish how the other rules work. Like, maybe a series. Maybe I'll play something that I've never played before. What I'm trying to do right now, at the very least, is keep the genres varied up. So I'm not just doing the same thing over and over again. Like, the first game was a sports game. I know it doesn't seem like a sports game to most people, but it's technically a sports game. So it's going to be a while before I have to play another sports game, which suits me fine. Yay. Alright, Castle 7. The other maze one. This one is harder because it's a little bit more confusing to what you have to do. Go over there. You go down, middle, up. Then, from what I understand, go down here. You don't die. Okay? That's something you shouldn't do. Over there. So, you go down, middle, up. You go over here. Okay, then you go here. You go middle, up. And you make it. Down, middle, up, basically. Thank God Bowser falls slower than Hammer Brothers for some reason. Alright, we're on the home stretch. This world is hell. I hate World 8. I hate it. It's just so difficult. The first level, you're dealing with a shit ton of monsters. This is the only level where I actually almost run out the counter usually. You gotta be careful. The Koopa Troop is... Yeah, I can't keep waiting for them. Also, yeah, I have no idea where the fuck the extra life is supposed to be. It looks like if I get 5 more coins, if I can get 5 more coins, I will be happy with an extra life. Oh, a star, that's a lifesaver right now. Go, 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 go. Just as fast as possible. Oh yeah. The worst jumps in the game are in this level. So if I do get a game over, I can't use the code, but I can use the shortcuts. That was That was never established in the rules that I couldn't do that. But I'm actually kind of hoping that I don't die. Or that I don't get a game over. Just needed a little bit further on that jump. And can you believe that this is the easiest of the 3 worlds, or the 3 levels of World 8? Come on, come on. There we go. Jump over you. That wasn't the star, okay. I just have to concentrate, that's all. Phew. Anyway, if I do get a game over in Mario Brothers, I usually like to restart from the beginning anyway. I don't know. Something just doesn't feel right about beating the game using the continue code. It kind of does feel like I'm breaking the rules. Alright, this level. This level is evil. It's basically Limbo. It's definitely more difficult than the first one, but this one gives you an extra life. And it's not too hard to get that extra life. So what happens when you do this, usually some point after the level kills you. And you have no reason to quit because you didn't really lose any lives. So for me, I've probably spent the most time on this level alone. Because I've been in a never-ending cycle of dying, getting a life, dying, getting a life, dying, getting a life. And this far in the game, you don't want to quit. Because you're this far into the game. There's only 2 more levels after this. And that's the worst jump in the entire game. So yeah, I've probably played this game for like this level for like half an hour before. That was close. That was close. Oh yes, this level. Hammer Brother Heaven, let's call it that. Now, there are actually 2 power-ups here, and we're gonna need pretty much both of them. Actually, we need to get to the end of the level with at least one of them. That's the plan. So, number 1 is right here. It's kind of the strategy I used for beating Bowser. Alright. If you can get a flower in this stage, you're set. Die, you bastards. I cannot tell you how many deaths these dipshits have given me. I don't care if it's cheap. And I don't care if I'm running low on time either. Alright. Bowser's Castle is actually very easy to remember the directions you have to go. Alright. It's always after lava. Like, immediately after this pit of lava, you go down this pipe. Jump over the buzzy beetles. If I get hit, I go back to the little guy. Okay, and here there's fish for some reason. Yeah, the end of the game just throws everything at you. You go underwater. Don't get hit. Just don't get hit. Because the final boss of this game, it isn't Bowser. There's a Hammer Brother right before Bowser. And I will tell you, he's killed me way more than Bowser ever has. And we're about to face him, and I'm little. Him. That's the final boss of the game. If you can get through him, Bowser's a cakewalk. Yeah, there's no power-ups in Bowser's Castle. We're doing this little, or we're not doing this at all. That's perfect to hear. Yeah, I've gone through this place so many times, I know the exact route. It's easy to remember. All of the maze castles should be like this. That at least makes it a little bit more forgiving. In the other castles, it's basically just random trial and error. Fucking fire bar. Why is there fire underwater? I can't relent. If I'm gonna go, I have to go. That is the plan. I basically am here without health or ammo, so let's... I mean, I'd call it terrible enemy placement, but no. The hardest obstacle in the game should be right before the end. I mean, we've already beaten Bowser 7 times. So that's not a threat. Squidoo, squidoo, squidoo. I forgot about the fireball. Also, the original Super Mario Brothers doesn't give you a 0th life, so... Go down the pipe. So I have exactly one more death, and then... With the flying Cheep Cheeps, their hit detection is so wonky. Sometimes you hit them dead on, and it still counts as a hit on your end. And sometimes it looks like you're not hitting them at all, but it still counts and you don't get hit. They die. Bye-bye, Bowser! Oh, thank goodness. But hey, I finally beat Bowser's Castle with no power-ups. Alright, I'm not gonna beat the next quest. You press B to start the second quest. What happens is all the Goombas become Buzzy Beetles. It's not much new, it's just... But yes, Super Mario Brothers, the original, you've seen the game pretty much in its entirety. What else can I say about it? It's one of the greatest, most important video games ever made. It's been the top-selling video game for a long time before it was toppled by Wii Sports for some reason. But, everybody loves it. And I don't know why I keep playing it, because I guess it's fun. Like, the Buzzy Beetles don't really make the game any harder. I'm just dicking around right now, because... I guess I will show you the secret if you don't know it. And I'm pretty sure that you do know it. Like, everybody knows the secret. It's a secret to nobody. Truly speaking. And no, I've never beat the game with Buzzy Beetles, with Buzzy Beetle mode. It doesn't seem to have much of a point. I mean, when the game starts getting hard by the time... In the later levels where this might be a challenge, they're already overloaded with Buzzy Beetles. I'm just having fun. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna try to beat the game again, shortcut style. Because why not? Spines. This level doesn't change at all. Also, if you take a warp zone, you can get the extra life anyway. You can beat Super Mario Brothers in 5 minutes if you know what you're doing, and you're an expert at speedrunning. All right, down here. Oh, I almost forgot about this part. Alright. I'm not actually used to taking this shortcut. So... But yeah, if you do what you do on level 1-2, it's just gonna give you a warp zone to level 5. This is how you get to level 8. Doop 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 doop. fire flowers. Who knew it makes everything so much easier? I should probably have tried to obtain it a little bit more often. You can run across one block pits. Sprite flickering, no! Yeah, I mean, Buzzy Beetle mode doesn't make the game any harder. God damn it. Yeah, see, the only thing that causes me any issue is enemies I've already faced. Alright, I think that's enough. Mario Brothers, it belongs in the book. I maintain it. Get out of here.